Hey everybody. I thought what I'd do today is I'd talk a little bit about some of the crappy comics I have in my collection. Often people show comics like, I've got, Amazing Spider-Man #1 and here's this and that, and people never really talk about like crappy stuff and they have in their collection. I used to have a lot more, but several years ago some of my comic books were stolen, and along with some good stuff, some crappy stuff was taken as well. Also, I'm planning on maybe doing a purge, getting rid of some stuff, so that's another reason I'm doing this, to just show you some funny stuff. Um, the first issue is something called Future Cop LAPD. I don't know, it actually might be good, but I got it for free, it's in my collection, and I'm probably going to get rid of it really quick. Here's a more recent entry, Warlord of Mars. And it's actually not bad, but this cover is just horrible. I mean, look at her leg, it's all short. She's got these, disfigured body. I mean, this is real 90s kind of stuff, folks. You want good comics, I want good art, I want realistic art. The art inside's good, but I'm like, that was it. I'm not going to pay, $4 for a comic with a like that. I was signed up for it, and then when this showed up, I was like, that's done. I mean, I can't read that in public. House of M. Look at that. This is it right there. I bought this. That was a guidebook. This is the second issue. And that was it. It was done. I was done with Marvel at this point. This is what broke me. I remember I bought the first issue, and then with the second issue, there was this big long page describing like things that had happened in all these other comic books, all the stuff that happened with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's this big hero. I'm like, what? Why didn't that happen in this title? So you had to read like 10 comic books or something like that between the first and second issues. Completely pointless. I was like, I'm done. I found some funny stuff. I collect like Eclipse comics, whether they're good or bad, the old Eclipse comics. And this is one I found called Bland Man, which is a parody of Vertigo stuff. Looks completely pointless, but I bought it for 10 cents. Foodang! I guess he's some sort of clown investigator superhero something. I don't know. Who knows? You could publish all kinds of stuff back in the 80s and 90s. This is a good one. Secret Wars 2. At least the first one had some sort of consistent story, but Secret Wars 2, God, one of the worst things ever written. I used to be really down on the art. I'm not quite so down on it, but it's not appropriate for a superhero comic. Just a crappy effort all the way around. How not to do a superhero comic, Secret Wars 2. I mean, look at this guy. The art is... the Beyonder, wearing this weird jumpsuit, and he's the villain, and everything crosses over with everything else, and wow. Innovations Lunatic Fringe. This is back in a attempt when, an indie company was trying to make more serious stuff by adding color, but it's very bland, very boring. Same with New Australia. I picked this up because it had some Tim Truman art, but it's just snoring and boring. This one's The Secret Defenders. This is kind of infamous for being really stupid, and it's got a foil cover, so you know it's good. Not. Another Eclipse comic, Phase #2. I pick up a lot of Eclipse comics, collect them and stuff. This is supposed to be really bad according to Slings and Arrows. It was so bad that they didn't even bother finishing the series. I don't know how many issues it was supposed to be, but they just killed it at issue 2. Green Arrow and Black Canary Wedding Special. This comic pissed me off. This is what mostly swear off DC Comics too. It just... I've tried to get into DC, I was starting to get back into it, and then they come out with this garbage. Night Watch. Didn't pay for this, folks. A lot of this stuff I didn't pay for. Spawn was really popular, so we need a Marvel version of Spawn. And look, another Foil cover must be. This is interesting. Project Superpowers. Man, I was really excited. They're gonna, I was like, Dynamite's gonna bring back all these Golden Age characters. Bought the first 5 issues and was like, this stuff sucks. It was really, really boring. I don't know what they were thinking, but I mean, I just so didn't care. It was so incredibly dull. It's like, so much for that. So I got rid of all of it. But this house, somehow this one escaped me getting rid of it and it's still in there. But I plan on getting rid of it very soon. Identity Crisis. Not a terribly written comic or drawn, but, I'm not a big fan of, rape. Rape, that's a great way to improve your superhero story. How very manga of you, DC. Oh, here's a good flashback from the 80s. Laugh and Gas. It's a parody comic. And what happened was Laugh and Gas would do a parody each issue back in the black and white boom in the 80s. And Boris the Bear, one of the first issues published by Dark Horse, went out and killed all the mutant ninja critters. And then as revenge, this title went and had all those characters attack Boris the Bear, And then Boris the Bear did another issue attacking all the creatures again, and then, so it was... the deadliest creature on Earth, man, I'm gonna kill you. Speaking of Boris the Bear, the guy who did Boris the Bear didn't think his relationship with Dark Horse was very good, so he quit Dark Horse, started his own company called Nicotat, and continued Boris the Bear, which, didn't last very much longer after that, and did this one shot, which is pointless. So much for the Nicotat comics, huh? Maybe you should have stuck with Boris the Bear. Here we go. Adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters. More black and white boom goodness. What's funny about this is this is a parody of a parody. This is a parody of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I actually kind of like the first 4 issues. It kind of has kind of a underground comics kind of a vibe. But then they switched to this other style of art. That's some 3D glasses there, where the kind of more realistic bodies, and it just kind of ruined it. I kind of like the more underground kind of art style. And that was it. Here's something I picked up recently. X-Thieves, with this really weird looking alien chick. But if you don't like that, here's X-Thieves number 9, where the chick is human and the guy is this weird alien thing. So pick that up for 10 cents. This is what broke me. I got swept up in the black and white boom in the 80s, but this is what made me drop all of that stuff. Was Solson Publications, How to Draw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This isn't so bad because Eastman and Laird actually did the art in this one. But they kept coming out with these titles like Martial Arts Training Manual, and of Leonardo and Raphael and Donatello and Michelangelo and Authorized Training Manual just in general, And I was like, these things were, at the time for a kid, $2.25 was a lot of money back in the 80s. And I thought, I didn't understand the difference between the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the regular title, and then this one published by a different company, and I got pissed and I just dropped the whole thing. Dropped all those comics. Team Yankee. I don't know about the book, didn't read it, but man, this thing was boring. World War III, never more boring than here, Team Yankee. More goodness from the black and white boom. Mildly microwave prepubescent kung fu gophers. There you go, look at that. How original is that? And we want to mix it up. We'll make them old. Geriatric gangrene jujitsu gerbils. How about that? Here's one. Here's a funny one. X-Mutants. It's a post-apocalyptic comic where these mutants are transformed into these hot chicks and one, who fight in high heels. I like the villain though. His name's Fred. He kind of looks like a cross between the Hulk and the Humongous from the Road Warrior. Kind of a guilty pleasure. Good if you're like, 15. Here's another one. Samurai Squirrel. I had a title called Gorilla Groundhog, but that got stolen. Here's one that's totally tasteless. Collector's issue #1, Waffen SS, where the Waffen are the heroes, and they're fighting the commies on the Russian front. Not a good idea because one, we know how it's ultimately going to end, and two, you know what, the SS are, fuck those guys. Yeah, indie comics back in the 80s. Iron Jaw. Who doesn't forget Atlas comics from the 70s? Not necessarily bad art, but, Ugh. Logan's Run. Look at that. What company is that? Adventure Comics. Another company that tried to get in that black and white boom. And I liked the original movie. I read the original book, and I thought, hey, great, this is an adaptation of the book. Horrible art. Terrible. And so I never bought more than the first issue. Solar Lord. I have no idea what this is. It just got into my collection somehow. I think it was in a mixture of something somebody gave me. Chaos Comics. Look at that. Purgatory. Look at the two chicks on the cover there. It's like, man, just get porn. What's the point of this? We have the internet nowadays. So I just never understood that. Here's a good one. A new Universe title. Spitfire and the Troubleshooters. And I only bought the first issue. I was just like, what was the whole point of the new Universe? It's like, okay, let's just make some new comics that are not as interesting as the original ones, and all right. Oh, here's a good one. Reagan's Raiders, another black and white special. What's really weird about this comic is it's actually 3 issues, and I might have picked it up. Oh, it's our friend Solson again, is that you don't quite know if it's, making fun of Reagan or kind of supporting him in a backhanded kind of way. So it adds this kind of creepiness to it. It was made by the guy who made the art anyway, by the guy who did Deathlock. So you'd think it'd be kind of, but anyway, it's weird. Some people are going to disagree with me on this one, but Wildcats. I cannot stand this kind of 90s art kind of stuff. #1, but this was given to me by a friend of mine who has since passed away, so I'm not going to get rid of it. But don't like the Jim Lee 90s art. Deathlock. I was like, oh, they brought Deathlock back. He looks kind of weird here, but okay, I'll pick it up. And then the whole story was like about some kid sneaking out of a military camp. I was like, Deathlock the Child or something? It was like, that was it. Dropped this thing like a hot potato. And one of the masters of all time, Deathmate. Deathmate Silver, I think. I remember, I did not buy this, by the way. This was another thing that was given to me, and I'm keeping it for hilarity's sake. More horrible Jim Lee art on the cover. Can't stand that kind of style of art. Let's draw lots of extra lines and not quite have a complete grasp of the human body. So, but I remember right about the time I quit comics and this thing was hitting hardcore, and I was just like, I'm done. And then years later, I came back to the area I live now because I moved away for a while, and there were tons and tons of these things in boxes at a used bookstore. I mean, there was like, I think 6 long boxes of Deathmate comics for 10 cents. And I was like, yes, yes. Anyway, just a few crazy titles that I have left in my collection. Someday I'm going to do a blog post about some of my stuff that got nicked. But that's for another time.